Hey guys, it's Mike here. We're back with episode 4 of Can't Stop Progress. We're here with chapter 47, Complicated Simplicity, live at the Electric Ballroom in Camden. We'll get right into the show. We start off with Jim Smallman welcoming the crowd to the show, a 32E+, so decent start there by Jim, getting the crowd warmed up for the night of wrestling ahead. As we go into our opening match, where in a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Timothy Thatcher defeated Morgan Webster in 11 minutes and 33 by submission with the Thatcher stretch. Thatcher debuting his average no gimmick needed gimmick. Morgan Webster with a 39, Timothy Thatcher with a 37, 35E+ match rating. Not too bad, but not brilliant. Timothy Thatcher, of course, the third member of Ring Camp alongside Axel Dieter Jr. and Walter. We've brought him in, he's going to have a couple of singles matches. He'll be the third man in that stable. Could be the figure to help them capture the tag titles from British Strong Style. Could be that sort of Pete Dunn figure, sort of the, not the leader per se of the group, but the singles competitor alongside the tag team. As we go into our next match, where in the final Natural Progression Series semi-final, in a bout that had decent wrestling but not a lot of heat, Laura Di Matteo defeated Alex Windsor in 9 minutes and 50 by submission. Both Alex Windsor and Laura Di Matteo getting their debuts because they weren't with the company at the beginning of the series. Alex Windsor getting a 36, Laura Di Matteo getting a 40, so happy with that. Alex Windsor improving her performance skills. A 40D-, not bad for a women's match, especially with these databases. The women tend to be a bit lower in terms of scores, so very happy with that. Getting similar to Webster and Thatcher there. As we go into our next segment, which is a Wasteman challenge by the body guy, Roy Johnson, as he calls out a member of the backstage crew. And in a bout that had decent reaction from the crowd but subpar wrestling, the returning Iron Man Joe Coffey defeats Roy Johnson in 7 minutes 48 by pinfall with discus lariat. So a bit of a shorter match there. Joe Coffey making quick work of Roy Johnson. Johnson was really off his game. Coffey with a 37, Johnson with a 32. No worker improvements. 33E+, not as good as I'd be hoping for. Coffey, slightly lower in-ring performance than I expected. Hopefully he shall improve on those in the future. Got some plans for Coffey going forward. As we go into the next match, a decent match. The London Riots defeated FSU in 16 minutes and 13 seconds when Rob Lynch defeated Eddie Dennis by pinfall with a district line. Eddie Dennis was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. Eddie Dennis had an in-ring performance of 33, Andrews a 47, Rob Lynch a 50, and James Davis a 47. So Andrews definitely off his game in there with the London Riots. You'd expect him to get a bit higher. Bout was a bit long, lack of flow in the middle, which would be why that only got a 35E+. You would have been hoping for a bit more there. I was hoping for 40, mid-40s with that match. Dennis kind of letting us down a little bit, as long as it being a little bit too long. But it could have been worse. As in our next match, in a decent match, Travis Banks defeats Fabian Eichner in 13 minutes and 14 seconds by pinfall with an airplane slam. Eichner off his game, unfortunately, getting a 33. Travis Banks getting a 44 for a 42D rating there, so not too bad. Travis Banks again picking up the win, so impressing here in singles competition. As we go into our next segment, where I've actually written out a little angle here, so give me a second, I'll just pull this up so that you can see it and I'll read along with it. So, Jim Smallman is in the ring ready to announce the next match when he is interrupted by music familiar to all in attendance A chorus of boos ring out as Will Osprey and Paul Robinson, that should say, make their way to the ring. And Osprey takes the microphone and says, "Shut up, Jim. Just shut up. Now is not your time. It's Osprey time. So get out of my ring and let me speak. Because you see, Jim, I have a bone to pick with you and the so-called fans in the crowd over there. It's fairly well known that I haven't exactly been on the best of runs recently. Ever since I lost my title to Marty Scurll in January last year, I hadn't won a match. That is, of course, until Chapter 46, where Paul Robinson and myself dismantled and destroyed Jimmy Havoc. 15 months without a win ended with one of the most one-sided dominations in Progress history. Now, back in the day, I'm sure you all remember, Jimmy Havoc was the champion of this company, and you guys fucking hated him. He was a prick. He brutalised Mark Andrews, one of your fan favourites, to win the title. He nearly deafened Jim over here with a steel chair. And he controlled this company for 609 days. Almost 2 years this guy practically ran the company until a dashing young lad came along on a fine summer's night in 2015 and ended his cruel reign. That was me. I was the man that ended Jimmy Havoc. I was champion and you guys loved me. But when I lost my title to Marty, where were you then? When I was down and I needed you, where were you? You were off cheering Mark Haskins, Tommy End, William Ever, Mark Andrews. You cheered whoever your flavour of the month was because you're a bunch of fickle bastards. You're so fickle that when the man that had tormented everyone for 2 whole years came back from an injury, you cheered him. And not only did you cheer him, you were behind him 100%. You cheered him over me when we faced Unboxing Live in December. You would rather support the man that made our lives hell, threatened us and held this company for ransom, over me, the man that saved you, liberated you. That was when I decided. I didn't need you or your support. I didn't need to be friends with the crowd or any of the guys in the back. I only needed one man to watch my back, and that's where Robbo comes in. He has my back and I have his. And what we're going to do now is take out all of your favourites. Nobody is safe from us. Paul Robinson, the best brawler and fighter in the country. Will Osprey, the best high flyer and natural athlete in the world. We're going to take on all comers. Singles matches, tag matches, it doesn't matter. We will take you on. We will beat you. And that brings me to tonight. Jim here, in his infinite wisdom, decided not to book myself or Paul tonight. I'm here to change that. Anybody that happens to be here in the ballroom tonight and thinks they can stand toe to toe with the greatest cruiserweight in the world, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. So a 49D plus rating there for the Osprey and Robinson segment. No work improvements there. Happy with that. Bring a bit of heat into the next match containing Osprey, where in a bout that had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Will Osprey defeated Ricochet in 13 minutes and 1 second by pinfall with a 6:30 splash. So Ricochet answering Will Osprey's open challenge. Obviously not very happy at Osprey calling himself the best cruiserweight in the world and the best high flyer in the world. Glenn and RJ Singh didn't do the best job on the announcing desk. Ricochet with an in-ring performance of 61, Osprey with a 75, so very impressive there. Ricochet improving his technical skills. So a good match there all round. Osprey basically stating his agenda, saying what him and Paul Robinson are going to be doing in the future. As we go into our next match, where in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Mark Haskins defeats Axel Dieter Jr. and Zach Gibson in 14 minutes and 5 seconds. When Mark Haskins defeated Zach Gibson by pinfall with a painkiller. Axel Dieter Jr. with a 51, Haskins with a 57 and Zach Gibson with a 55. So Mark Haskins, by winning this match, is the new #1 contender to the Progress Championship. He will be facing Pete Dunn in his redemption title match at one of the next upcoming chapters. Haskins, of course, the man who never lost his title, had to vacate it due to his back injury. Came back recently much earlier than everyone expected. So a 57 C- for that match. Volta was unable to appear at this show, so I put Axel Dieter Jr. in singles action, considering he beat Haskins on the previous show. And he had a good showing, not quite as good as Haskins and Gibson, but a good showing nonetheless. Didn't take the pin, so puts him in good stead going into that tag match against British Strong Style. And then in our final match of the night, in a superb match, Pete Dunn defeated Zack Sabre Jr. in 20 minutes and 29 seconds by pinfall with a bitter end. Pete Dunn makes defence number 4 of his Progress Championship. Times when there's a definite lack of psychology on display, so match was a little bit too long. Pete Dunn with a 56 in-ring performance, Zack Sabre Jr. with a 69. No work improvements, 54 C-. So Zack Sabre Jr. getting a title shot after impressing on the Progress vs. Evolve card, beating Osprey, of course, and retaining his Evolve Championship. So that's now twice Pete Dunn has beaten Zack Sabre Jr. as champion, once here and once back at Chapter 40 at Intercepted Angel in Sheffield. A match that I saw live, which was very impressive, but a bit like this one, a little bit too long, in my opinion. I believe it got into Progress's top 10 matches of 2016. Top 10 matches of 2016. But a 54 C-, as we end our show with a 53 C-. So not a bad show at all there, really. The second half of the show, much better than the first half. But a very, very good show there. Gonna just say to Zack Sabre Jr., Zach Gibson, and who else? Mark Haskins. No, we'll do Osprey because Osprey got a 75. Will Osprey, Zack Sabre Jr., and Mark Haskins. We're going to compliment them on a good performance. They're all pleased. So, Chapter 47 out of the way, with a new little segment thing I tried out there. I'm going to look to bring... I know a lot of people, when they do a save, they do something like that for every angle, where they'll do an angle, write it in the game and write that in. That one I had to do in Notepad just because it was so long. I felt like I just wanted to have a little explanation from Osprey about what he's doing, where he's going to go, what's happening there with him and Paul Robinson. There will still be little bits of the feud with Havoc in there, but it's kind of like Osprey's road to redemption from his 2016 showings, but rather than him being a face, he's going to be the heel, building his way back up, almost as like a monster, but just not a physically imposing one in a way. Just a guy that him alongside Paul Robinson, they're not going to be messed with. And we can build into storylines there. We had a £13,990 loss in April there, partly down to, I believe we had 3 shows. We either had 2 or 3 shows that month, and we had to fly everybody out. As you can see, we had 10,000 more in the miscellaneous. I believe that was due to just the pure amount of money spent shipping everybody over to America for that American show. And we did hire, it was my mistake, I hired a lot more workers for that Orlando show, which I've accidentally signed to 3-year deals just out of what's the term? Just out of sort of muscle memory almost of signing people to contracts on saves. I very rarely sign people just to use once or twice. So I all the people we use in Evolve, so people like Sammy Callahan is on a 3-year deal, but I don't want to cancel it yet because I do have plans for Callahan. I have plans for the like of Leo Rush. I have plans where I'll be using Jeff Cobb. People like Fred Yehi, Tracy Williams, I'll probably get rid of at some point. Shane Strickland's another one that will hopefully be turning up fairly regularly. I just have to, with the Americans, I'd rather not bring them in just for the odd show here and there as a name. I'd like to build something around them, kind of like what they did with Tommaso Ciampa, where he had his little best of 3 series with Zack Sabre Jr. He came in for a reason, rather than just being, oh, that's a well-known indie American guy. So we'll look to build some decent storylines around the imports. As we see, due to just the size of the roster we have at the moment, quite a few morale issues. Leaders of the New School, Jimmy Havoc, Mustache Mountain, Andrews, Rampage Brown. He's out for a reason though. He might be coming back fairly soon. Robinson will be turning up a bit more recently. Either I don't really have anything for. I think Eichner's upset at a loss, maybe. I think one of his losses at maybe the Evolve show. Rampage has entered the final month of his contract. We will be renewing that. If he doesn't want extortionate prices. He wants 1,000. I'll see if I can get that down a little bit. That'll be able to get that low. Yeah, 920. We'll go for 920 for Rampage. His main problem being that he is a main eventer. It's not where I view him, really. He's very good, but don't quite want him that high up the card. There was something else I wanted to show you, but I can't remember what it was now. Let's quickly look here. So, sold out show. Feedback has been awesome. Small companies outshone some of the bigger companies' recent efforts. That was it. I've just remembered. I'm going to show you the size of the company. So after 4 shows, we're up to 27 importance in Southern England, 24 in Northern England, 22 in Central England, 18 in Scotland, 19 in Ireland, with 30 pop in Central and Northern England, 25 in Scotland and Ireland, and 34 in Southern England. If I go back here, you see we're very close to moving up to regional size. We just need 2 more importance in Southern England, which hopefully shouldn't take too long, because I would love to get there at some point. I will see you in, it says a month here, but it's actually going to be 2 weeks for Progress Chapter 48, followed of course by the Super Strong Style Tournament at the end of May. That one could be killer for us. 3 nights of shows back to back with quite a lot of talent appearing. So hopefully we don't bankrupt ourselves. Hopefully we make money from it being here. I'm going to have to be very careful about which imports I bring in to participate in that. But a few of these names you see here will be in it, of course. And possibly a couple more names. I've seen some people I'll be very interested in potentially bringing in, depending on what their current companies have planned for them. I'm not going to say any more than that. But thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you very soon for Chapter 48. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.